Have you ever stood up from your favorite chair and felt like your knees belong to someone else? Like your joints are protesting every step, every motion? You're not alone, my friend. At our age, arthritis doesn't just knock, it barges in, uninvited and relentless. But what if I told you the solution isn't hiding in another expensive prescription or a commercial that promises the moon and delivers side effects? What if it's sitting quietly in your kitchen right now? Today I'm going to share 3 simple plant-based proteins that most doctors won't mention, but they've changed lives. These aren't trendy powders or supplements with names you can't pronounce. They're real foods, affordable, accessible, and shockingly effective at calming inflammation and easing that stubborn joint pain. I'm not here to sell you a miracle. I'm here to help you take your life back one meal at a time. So please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you're tired of just managing pain and ready to reduce it naturally. Stick with me until the very end because what I'm about to share might just give you the strength to walk a little freer and live a little fuller. Starting today, part 1, the silent war in your joints and the wisdom we've forgotten. Pain changes a person, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and socially. And for those of us in our 60s, 70s, or beyond, arthritis isn't just about creaky knees or sore fingers. It's about the creeping fear of losing our independence, our identity. Every morning across this country, millions of seniors wake up to a war they didn't sign up for. Their joints ache before their feet hit the floor. Something as simple as opening a jar or tying shoelaces becomes an exhausting effort. And the worst part, most of us were taught to just accept it. That's what happens when you get old, they say. But let me ask you, when did pain become normal? I remember talking to a friend from church, John, a retired firefighter in Ohio, a tough man, the kind who once carried people out of burning buildings. But now he winces just trying to climb his porch steps. He told me, it's not the pain that gets to me. It's feeling useless that struck me. Because arthritis doesn't just attack the body, it chips away at the soul. And yet we keep getting the same solution handed to us, another pill bottle. Temporary relief, sure, but at what cost? Side effects, dependency, and the slow erosion of our self-reliance. Here's the deeper truth. Our bodies are not broken by time alone. They're broken by neglect. We live in a culture where fast food replaced real meals and convenience, trumped nourishment. Somewhere along the road, we stopped seeing food as medicine and started seeing it as entertainment. But wisdom whispers louder with age if we're willing to listen. There's a saying among the Cherokee elders: the food you eat can be either the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. That wisdom rings true whether you're in North Carolina or Nebraska. The reality is this: inflammation is the root of most chronic pain, and what we put into our bodies either fuels that fire or calms it. Arthritis is just one of the many alarms our bodies sound when the inflammation goes unchecked. Let me give you another example. Mary, a 68-year-old widow from Arizona, told me how she used to wake up stiff every morning. She'd shuffle to the kitchen, take 2 ibuprofen, and sit down with a sugary cereal because that's what I was used to. Then she started learning about how certain foods, especially processed meats and refined carbs, were silently stoking her pain. Now she eats oatmeal with berries and flax lentil soup for lunch and roasted chickpeas for snacks. She's not running marathons, but she can garden again. She walks without her cane. More importantly, she told me, I feel like I've got a say in my health again. That's the heart of it. We may not be able to stop time, but we can stop feeding our pain. And here's something most doctors won't tell you. Not because they're bad, but because they were never taught it. Food is chemistry. Every bite you take sends signals through your body. Some say heal, others say hurt. The choice is on your plate. This isn't about going vegan or following the latest diet trend. It's about recognizing that healing doesn't always come from outside. It often starts from within. So as we move forward in this video, I want to show you the quiet power of 3 humble, affordable, everyday plant-based proteins. These aren't superfoods sold in fancy packaging. They're time-tested, nutrient-rich, and grounded in both science and common sense. Because sometimes the most powerful medicine doesn't come in a bottle, it comes in a bowl. Stay with me, let's rebuild from the inside out. Part 2, lentils, the quiet strength we overlook. Let's get right to it. Lentils aren't glamorous, they don't make headlines, they aren't sold in shiny boxes, and they're not the centerpiece of trendy health blogs. But I'll tell you this, for folks like you and me who've lived, worked, raised families, and now face new battles in our bodies, lentils are one of the wisest foods we can turn to. When I was growing up in a small Midwest town, meals were simple but meaningful. My mother used to say, "Don't judge food by its flash. Judge it by how it treats you the next day." That lesson came full circle decades later when my own joints began to stiffen. That's when I rediscovered lentils, not as a cheap pantry item, but as a healing ally. You see, lentils are packed with what our aging bodies desperately need: plant-based protein, magnesium, potassium, and fiber. And unlike red meat, which may inflame our joints, lentils soothe. They nourish without aggravation. They're gentle yet powerful, much like the kind of people we hope to become in our later years. Let me tell you about Bill, a retired postal worker in Michigan. After decades of walking mail routes, his knees were worn out. The doctors told him he'd need a knee replacement. Instead of jumping straight to surgery, he made small dietary changes. He started eating lentil soup 3 times a week, loaded with spinach, carrots, and a sprinkle of turmeric. Within 3 months, his swelling went down. His morning stiffness lessened. He told me, "I'm still old, but I'm not broken." There's wisdom in that. Lentils aren't just nutritious, they're accessible. You can buy a bag for under $2 at any local grocery store. They don't require fancy cooking skills. Rinse, boil, simmer, add garlic, onions, maybe a little olive oil, and you've got a healing meal for your joints and your soul. What makes lentils truly special for arthritis is their anti-inflammatory magic. They help stabilize blood sugar, reduce swelling, and keep your digestion moving smoothly. You're not just eating, you're telling your body, "I'm on your side." And that brings me to something bigger. We live in a time when so many seniors feel invisible, like no one's listening, no one's helping. But I'm here to tell you that we can help each other. We can share what works. That's why I'm doing this, not for fame, but because someone out there needs this information today. If you've made it this far, I ask you, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Not just for you, but for someone like Bill. For someone who's still in pain and doesn't know there's a better way. Let's walk this journey together. One lentil at a time, one choice at a time. Not loud or flashy, but strong and quietly wise. Just like us. Part 3, chickpeas. Small bean. Big impact. If lentils are the quiet strength in your kitchen, then chickpeas are the unsung heroes that carry the torch even further. You may know them as the main ingredient in hummus, or maybe you've seen them floating in your canned soup. But let me tell you something you might not know. Chickpeas are one of the most powerful foods you can eat for arthritis relief, especially for those of us in our later years. Now, I'm not here to romanticize a bean. I'm here to speak truth from one seasoned soul to another. And here's the truth: when you're over 65, every bite you take is either fighting for you or against you. Chickpeas fight for you, and they do it without fanfare. Let me tell you about Shirley, a 73-year-old retired librarian from Oregon. She used to call herself a human barometer. Whenever it was going to rain, her fingers swelled up like balloons and her knuckles throbbed with pain. She had a cabinet full of creams, pain patches, and over-the-counter meds. But it was a simple change in her diet that started to turn things around. She began eating chickpeas almost daily, roasted with olive oil and garlic mashed into spreads added into her chili. Within 2 months, she noticed less stiffness in the morning. Her grip strength improved. She could open her own pickle jars again. "It's not magic," she told me. "It's nutrition finally working with me, not against me." Chickpeas are rich in plant-based protein, which we seniors need more than ever. As we age, our bodies break down muscle faster, and if we're not replenishing that muscle with clean protein, we lose strength, endurance, and our ability to stay independent. Unlike red meat, which can fuel inflammation, chickpeas offer that protein without the baggage, no saturated fat, no inflammatory spike. But it's what's inside that counts most. Chickpeas are packed with polyphenols, a group of natural antioxidants that shield our cells from damage. If arthritis is a fire burning inside your joints, then polyphenols are like the cool water that soothes it. They fight oxidative stress, one of the major drivers of chronic inflammation. And we can't forget vitamin C, often overlooked in arthritis care. Chickpeas provide a steady dose of this essential vitamin, which helps your body produce collagen, the stuff that cushions your joints and keeps them moving smoothly. Without enough vitamin C, the cushion wears thin and the grinding begins. But when you feed your body what it needs to rebuild, the healing begins from within. Like lentils, chickpeas are also a great source of magnesium. Now let's be honest, most people our age don't know whether we're low on magnesium. But here's a sign: if you've been feeling tense, cramping at night, or waking up stiff even after sleep, your body might be screaming for it. Magnesium helps relax muscles, calm the nervous system, and reduce inflammation. It's like nature's muscle rub without the greasy residue. And then there's fiber. As a nation, we're fiber deficient, and that's a big problem. High blood sugar levels have been linked to increased joint inflammation, and many of us grew up in a time when sugar and white bread were on every table. Chickpeas are loaded with soluble fiber, which stabilizes blood sugar, prevents those spikes, and keeps your energy even throughout the day. Now, some folks tell me, well, I don't know what to do with chickpeas. That's fair, but once you try a few simple ideas, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. Toss them into a salad. Roast them with a bit of paprika and sea salt for a crunchy snack. Stir them into a stew or blend them with lemon juice and tahini for hummus. You can even bake with chickpea flour. It's gluten-free and adds protein to your pancakes or cookies. There's no shortage of ways to enjoy them, and your joints will thank you every time. Here's what I've learned through years of living, hurting, and healing. The solution doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes it comes in the form of a humble bean. We don't need miracle drugs. We need wisdom, culinary wisdom, ancestral wisdom. The kind of wisdom that remembers food was always meant to heal. So next time you're at the store, pick up a can or a bag of chickpeas. Try them for a week. Take note of how your body responds. And if this message helps you even a little, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Not for me, but so we can help more folks like Shirley, like you, like me, who are still fighting, still learning, still healing, because growing older shouldn't mean growing weaker. With the right food and the right choices, we can still grow stronger. Part 4. Tofu, the gentle giant of joint relief. Tofu often gets a bad rap in American kitchens. Some say it's bland. Others don't know what to do with it. But if you're living with arthritis and you're looking for ways to ease that pain without filling another prescription bottle, then it's time to take a second look at this quiet powerhouse tofu. Made from soybeans, is one of the rare plant-based foods that's a complete protein. That means it contains all 9 essential amino acids. Your body needs to repair muscle, rebuild tissue, and keep your joints supported. And at our age, that support matters more than ever. Think about it like this. Your joints are the hinges of your life. Every time you stand up from a chair, reach for the cupboard, or go for a walk, you're relying on muscles and tissues that need constant care. And tofu offers that support gently and consistently without adding the inflammation that can come from red meat or heavily processed food. Let me tell you about Carl, a 75-year-old Vietnam veteran from Florida. For years, he'd wake up with stiff shoulders and throbbing hips. His doctors told him to expect it and offered stronger medication. But Carl wasn't interested in being medicated into the sidelines. He started working with a local nutritionist who encouraged him to try tofu stir-fries a few nights a week instead of steak. It felt odd at first. He grew up on meat and potatoes, but within a month he felt the difference. Less swelling, better sleep, and a surprising return of mobility. I didn't expect tofu to help, he told me, but it sure didn't hurt, and that alone was worth it. What makes tofu so effective for seniors isn't just the protein, it's also rich in calcium and often fortified with vitamin D. 2 nutrients absolutely vital for keeping bones strong and preventing fractures as we age. You see, arthritis doesn't just wear down cartilage, it puts stress on the entire skeletal system. Keeping bones dense and healthy is just as important as reducing joint inflammation. Then there's omega-3 fatty acids, which are more commonly associated with fish. But tofu contains a plant-based version that offers similar anti-inflammatory benefits. Omega-3s help regulate the body's immune response, which is especially useful in autoimmune forms of arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis. They reduce the production of molecules that trigger swelling and joint damage. Tofu might not smell like salmon or sizzle like steak, but inside your body it speaks a language your joints understand. There's more. Soy contains isoflavones, natural compounds that mimic estrogen in the body in subtle and helpful ways. For women especially who may be dealing with postmenopausal changes, These compounds help reduce inflammation and protect joint tissue. In fact, several studies have shown that those who eat soy regularly report improved flexibility and less morning stiffness over time. Now let's talk about practicality. Tofu is incredibly versatile. You can cube it and toss it in a vegetable stir fry. Bake it until it's crispy or blend it into smoothies or creamy sauces. There's silken tofu for soups and desserts, firm tofu for grilling, and extra firm tofu for pan frying. It doesn't demand gourmet skill, just a little curiosity and a good sauce. It also stores well and costs far less than meat. That's not just a dietary benefit, that's economic relief, especially for retirees on a fixed income. In times like these, making food choices that are both healing and affordable is a kind of wisdom we can all embrace. Tofu doesn't shout. It doesn't try to impress, but it does offer real support to your aging body, one bite at a time. And in a world full of noisy solutions and hollow promises, sometimes it's the quiet things that do the most good. So while tofu may not be part of your childhood memories or family recipes, it can be part of your healing story moving forward. Give it room at your table. You may be surprised how much strength it brings, not just to your joints, but to your whole way of living. Part 5. Why most doctors don't talk about this and why we must. Let's get something out of the way. Most doctors mean well. They've dedicated their lives to helping people, and many have worked long hours under stressful conditions. But if you've spent years navigating the healthcare system here in the US, especially as a senior, you've likely noticed something missing: nutrition. When was the last time your doctor asked what you were eating? Chances are it's been a while, if ever. Not because they don't care, but because they were never trained to care in that way. Most medical schools in America offer only a few hours of education on nutrition, often buried in lectures about disease instead of prevention. They learn to treat symptoms, not to teach people how to eat for healing. And that's a serious gap for those of us facing chronic conditions like arthritis. Here's the truth. Pills are easy, prescriptions are quick, and in a system driven by insurance codes and time limits, that's what most patients get. But the body doesn't heal on a schedule, and pain doesn't always need another pill. It needs a change in the soil from which it grows. That soil is your diet. Take, for example, Janet, a 67-year-old woman from Idaho. She had been struggling with osteoarthritis for over a decade, pain in her hands, knees, and hips. Her medicine cabinet looked like a pharmacy. Her rheumatologist tried different combinations of anti-inflammatories, but nothing lasted. One day, her granddaughter, a nursing student, asked Nana, "What are you eating every day?" That question led Janet down a new path. She started replacing red meat with lentils, added chickpeas to her soups, and began experimenting with tofu stir-fries. Within a few months, her pain began to lessen. Not disappear completely, but enough that she could knit again and take walks without grimacing. This isn't an isolated story. Across the country, more and more seniors are discovering what our healthcare system rarely emphasizes. Food is powerful, it can cause pain, or it can help relieve it. Now let's be fair. There are incredible doctors out there who do care about lifestyle and prevention, but they're swimming upstream in a system that rewards quick fixes over deep, lasting change. That's why we, the people with lived experience, the grandparents, veterans, caregivers, retired teachers, must take the lead. We grew up in a generation that trusted authority. We didn't question what the doctor said. But this is a new chapter, and it calls for a different kind of wisdom, a partnership between experience and inquiry. We can no longer afford to be passive about our health. We must become active learners again. And let me be clear, changing how you eat isn't about perfection. It's not about cutting out everything you love or going on a diet. It's about slowly introducing foods that heal and gradually crowding out the ones that harm. It's not fast, but it's lasting. When I first started making these changes, I felt uncertain. Could something as simple as lentils or tofu really help more than a prescription? But then I remembered something my grandfather used to say: if you feed the soil, the garden will grow strong. He wasn't talking about kale or chickpeas, but the principle holds: you tend to what matters, and it will reward you in time. That's why this message matters so deeply, because for too long, many of us have been made to feel like we're just managing our decline. But what if we could reclaim something? Not youth maybe, but vitality, clarity, strength, even dignity. That's what food can do. That's what doctors should be saying. But until they do, we have to say it to each other. Neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, elder to elder. It's not too late to take your health back one plate at a time. Part 6, a simple meal plan for stronger joints. Healing one plate at a time. By the time we reach our 60s or 70s, eating isn't just about taste anymore. It's about function, it's about energy, mobility, and maintaining the ability to do the things we love. Whether it's gardening, driving to see the grandkids, or simply walking up the stairs without wincing, what we eat today directly shapes what we can still do tomorrow. Now that you know the incredible joint healing potential of lentils, chickpeas, and tofu, the question becomes, how do we actually use them day to day? Don't worry, you don't need to be a gourmet chef or spend a fortune on trendy ingredients. You just need a simple, thoughtful plan. Let's start with breakfast. For many seniors, this is where sugar sneaks in. Pastries, sweet cereals, even healthy granola bars. But a better way is to begin with something that stabilizes your energy. How about a warm bowl of steel-cut oats topped with cinnamon, ground flaxseed, and a spoonful of chickpea-based peanut butter? Or if you're feeling adventurous, a tofu scramble with turmeric and spinach. It's like scrambled eggs, but packed with protein and anti-inflammatory spices. Lunch doesn't have to be complicated. A lentil soup with carrots, celery, garlic, and a bay leaf simmered in low-sodium broth is not only comforting, but it delivers the joint-supporting nutrients your body needs. Pair it with a small side salad dressed in olive oil and lemon juice, and you've just given your joints a fighting chance to get through the day with less pain. Dinner is where you can get creative. A chickpea and quinoa bowl with roasted vegetables and tahini sauce feels hearty, but doesn't weigh you down. Or try a tofu stir-fry with broccoli, red bell peppers, and ginger over brown rice. Add a touch of sesame oil for flavor, and you're in for a satisfying, nutrient-rich meal. Snack time. Instead of reaching for chips or cookies, how about roasted chickpeas with paprika and sea salt, or a small bowl of lentil salad with a drizzle of balsamic vinegar? These options keep your blood sugar steady and inflammation low. Here's a tip: prep a big batch of lentils or chickpeas on Sunday and use them throughout the week. Freeze portions if needed. Tofu is often sold in vacuum-sealed packs and lasts a long time unopened, making it easy to keep on hand. A little planning means you're never more than a few minutes away from a meal that supports, not sabotages, your health. Now maybe you're thinking, this sounds great, but I've never cooked tofu, or I don't know what lentils are supposed to taste like. That's okay, you're not alone. We didn't grow up with this information, and our generation wasn't taught to think of food as medicine. But we can learn, and we can help each other along the way. Every time you swap out a processed food for a whole food like lentils or tofu, you're not just feeding your body, you're respecting it, you're honoring the life you've lived and investing in the days still ahead. And here's something else that matters, community. If you found value in this video, if something I said made you think twice about what's on your plate, please give it a thumbs up. And I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you're struggling with or what meal you're going to try first. Maybe you've got a recipe that's helped you feel better, share it. You never know who might read your words and feel inspired to take their first step. Let's stop treating our pain as something to hide or medicate into silence. Let's treat it as a signal, one that calls us back to simple, honest, healing food. And together, one plate at a time, we'll start building stronger bodies, steadier steps, and a more joyful life. Now let's get cooking. Part 7, Buddhist Wisdom and the Healing Power of Simplicity. In this fast-moving, over-medicated world, we often forget that healing doesn't always come in a bottle or a hospital wing. Sometimes it comes quietly through the most ordinary acts, like preparing a meal with presence or sitting down to eat with gratitude. For those of us walking into our later years, that kind of simplicity isn't just comforting, it's powerful. Buddhism teaches us something profoundly relevant here. Healing begins when we stop grasping. We live in a culture that clings to youth, to speed, to immediate results. We've been conditioned to believe that the only way to fix arthritis is with stronger drugs, newer treatments, more aggressive interventions. But the deeper truth, one echoed in Buddhist philosophy, is this: the body has a natural rhythm of healing if we stop interfering and start listening. There's a word in Buddhism, sati, which means mindfulness, not just sitting in meditation, but being fully aware of what you're doing as you do it. Cooking lentils can be a form of meditation. Chopping vegetables, stirring a warm pot of soup. These are not chores when done mindfully. They become acts of care for both body and spirit. For many years, I rushed through meals, eating whatever was convenient. I had good excuses: work fatigue, pain. But after a silent retreat in my late 60s, something shifted. I learned that how we eat matters just as much as what we eat. The monks didn't eat anything fancy. In fact, their meals were simpler than most retirement home lunches. But they ate slowly. They gave thanks. They chewed. And in doing so, they treated each bite as a message to the body. I'm here, I care. That may sound small, but small things accumulate. Just like inflammation accumulates quietly over time, so too does healing if we allow it. When you choose foods like chickpeas or tofu, you're not just selecting nutrients, you're choosing a form of nonviolence or ahimsa. Nonviolence toward the body, nonviolence toward the earth. In Buddhist teaching, this gentle approach to living extends to what we put on our plates. Instead of punishing our bodies with foods that inflame and exhaust, we nourish it with what soothes and strengthens. I remember speaking with a man named Howard, a retired carpenter from Wisconsin. He told me he used to eat like it was a race: bacon, white bread, greasy fries, fast and easy. But after a major arthritis flare-up left him unable to swing a hammer, he was forced to slow down. In that slowing down, he found stillness. He began making lentil soup as his morning ritual, turning off the TV and listening to the bubbling pot. I never thought food could be spiritual, he said, but now it's the quietest prayer I say all day. This is the invitation we are given in our later years, not to resist change, but to embrace it with wisdom. The body may be aging, but the spirit is ripening. We're not chasing energy like we did in our 30s. Now we are cultivating it through consistency, kindness, and discernment. So no, this isn't about trends or superfoods. It's about returning to what's essential. Real food, slow meals, grateful chewing. Listening to the body's whispers before they become screams. That is the core of both healing and Buddhism. Presence over panic, simplicity over struggle, and kindness over control. When we stop feeding inflammation, not just through food, but through rushing stress and emotional clutter, we create space for something else to grow: peace. And with that peace comes clarity, and with clarity comes better choices. And that, my friends, is where true healing begins. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to pause and take a deep breath, because what you've just heard isn't just about lentils, chickpeas, or tofu. It's about choice. It's about reclaiming control over your health, your comfort, and your daily life, one meal, one moment at a time. We've learned that lentils calm inflammation with powerful minerals and fiber. Chickpeas strengthen muscles, support blood sugar balance, and protect your joints. And tofu quietly restores, delivering complete protein, calcium, and omega-3s, all while being gentle on the body. But more than facts and nutrients, this is a reminder you are not helpless. Even in pain, even with age, you can still choose healing. You can still nourish not just your body, but your peace of mind. If anything in this video has helped you, if it sparked a new idea or brought back a forgotten wisdom, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more seniors who need this message. And I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Share a memory, a recipe, or a lesson you're walking away with. What touched you? What will you try? Your story may just be the encouragement someone else needs. Thank you for spending this time with me. May your next meal be gentle, healing, and full of quiet strength.